Hello everyone, this is Mr. Mulla with the 7.6 puzzle time, and the joke for this one is, how did the sea urchin pay for his meal? So we're going to do a couple of these. Remember, this section's kind of frustrating because it's a lot of guess and check. So the first thing we should be doing is seeing if we have a greatest common factor for any of these. So we have 2, we have 4, we have 16. We do have a greatest common factor between those, and it's 2. So I'm going to pull out a 2, aka divide everything by 2. So 2x squared divided by 2 is just x squared. 4x divided by 2 is 2x. Then negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. And now we're going to break this one down. And so we like it when it's an x squared out in front. That makes the problem a lot easier. So now remember, I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply to negative 8. I'm going to add them. I get a positive 2. So we like this x squared because the only way to get x squared is x and x. Two numbers that multiply to 8, well, it's either 8 and 1 or 4 and 2. And 8 plus 1 is not 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. So I'm going to do a plus 4 and a minus 2 there. So then if I end up foiling that back out, we get the 2x squared plus 4x minus 16. Okay, for this one I get 5x squared plus 21x plus 18. There's not anything that goes into 5, that goes into 21, that goes into 18. 3 can go into 18, 3 can go into 21, but 3 can't go into 5. So unfortunately this one we can't factor anything out. So we're going to have to think of two numbers that multiply to 5, two numbers that multiply to 18, and somehow when I multiply those two and add them up, I get to 21. So I could do something like 5x and x. That gives me 5x squared. Luckily, that's the only way to get 5x squared. It would stink if it was a number like we'll do later, like 28. There's a couple different ways you can get 28. And then for 18, let's try 2 and 9. All right, so I'm just going to factor these out here, or FOIL it out, see if I get my right answer here. So right off the bat, I kind of see this 45x there, and that's really big. So I kind of know that I kind of messed up right there. But let me finish it off just so I know for sure. 45x plus 2x, that's 47x. So not going to be the 21x I'm looking for. So let's try 5x, x plus, oops. So now I'll try 6 and 3. So again, a lot of guess and check, so it might be frustrating for some of us if we keep guessing and checking the wrong ones here. This one looks promising. So there it is. 15x and 6x do add up to 21x. So then this would be my answer. 5x plus 6, and then x plus 3. All right, number 6. I have a 3, I have a 6, I have a 24. 3 can go into all those. Once I divide everything by 3, I'm left with kind of the same thing as before. So two numbers that multiply to 8 and subtract to negative 2. This time I want the negative 4 since it subtracts to negative 2. So it's going to look like this. So again, these problems are a lot simpler because of the x squared and not the 3x squared or like the last one, the 5x squared out in front. So this one I was talking about before, this one's going to be pretty difficult. There's a couple different ways you can multiply to 28. There's a couple different ways you can multiply to 15. So going to take some guessing and checking here. So let's say I do 7 and 4, that multiplies to 28. And then I can do 3 and 5, and that multiplies to 15. So that gives me my 28x squared. That gives me negative 35x, so that's probably not looking good. And then that only gives me a positive 12x. So when I combine negative 35 and positive 12, that gives me a negative 23x, not the 1x that I'm looking for. And then minus 15. And remember, it could be something just as simple as you had the right numbers, but you put them in the wrong order. So something like this could even work. So that gives me my 28x squared. That gives me positive 21x. This gives me negative 20x. That gives me my negative 15. And then when I combine those, I get that single x I'm looking for. So I had the right numbers with a 7x, a 5, a 4x, and a 3. I just put them in the wrong spot. So again, a lot of guess and check with these. So I think you only have a handful of problems on the homework because I know it's going to take a lot of guess and check to do it. And then here for the last couple, they want you to solve. So it equals 0. So it's pretty much the same thing. Look to see if you can factor anything out, which here I can. I can factor out a 4. So there's x squared. That's 10x. And this is 21. And again, we like these because it's just an x squared there. So two numbers that multiply to 21 and add to 10. So 7 times 3 is 21. And 3 plus 7 is 10. But then it wants us to solve it. So remember, then we just set these equal to 0. So x plus 7 equals 0. Subtract 7 from each side. So x equals a -7. And then add 3 to each, or sorry, subtract 3 from each side. So x equals a -3. So then the answer to our joke is, how did the sea urchin pay for his meal? And the answer is with a sand dollar.